Hi everyone, welcome to the Active Knowledge series, The Practice of Non-Greed in Business. Today is the first of two introductory chapters, unpacking what non-greed in business means and why it's something you should consider adopting in your business, in your organization. And then after that, we'll begin to dig into the themes, the elements which underpin the practice of non-greed. So today there's three questions: what, why, and form. What do you mean by the practice of non-greed? Why is it something which is important to organizations and businesses? And what form or what shape are you talking about? What's this look like, almost? So they're the three things we're going to talk about today. The language of non-greed is a bit odd in business when you begin to think about it, because people would say, but what do you mean by non-greed? Businesses exist to profit. They shouldn't be greedy and take too much, but they do exist to profit, and they try and make their profit greater each year, each quarter, in fact. So maybe there's an element of greed in there. Isn't there a bit of a conflict? And my first answer would be the practice of non-greed will actually deliver greater profits than otherwise you'll be able to gain. Non-greed is about performance. It's about bringing real potential to the forefront, the real capability which exists in your organization to the forefront. And if you do that, if you focus on that, if you make that happen, then the profits which you'll earn will be much greater. I think the other aspect of non-greed is there is a resurgence, is the word I would use, in communities around the world which are saying organizations, businesses are profiteering. They keep lifting their prices, they keep charging us more, they keep taking more money away from us. This is not right. And the other aspect which you've got kicking in there is the new generations of people coming into the workforce are saying, we're not particularly interested in how much profit you make. We're interested in what you pay us, but we're not particularly interested in you making more profit or contributing to you making more profit. We want something which is worthwhile, which we can invest ourselves in. The practice of non-greed will address both of those concerns, if they are a concern in your industry and your organization. It will give vocations, meaningful work for the people stepping into your organizations, work which they'll lean into quite heavily, and it will negate this language of profiteering, this sense of you're continuing to take more profits because you'll be earning those through the value you deliver. So the practice of non-greed is about performance. It's about bringing the real potential performance which exists in your organization to the forefront and applying that in the marketplace. It is of strategic importance, and it is a strategic capability that you should be leaning into quite heavily. But the old mind frames, the old managerial mind frames which exist in businesses tend to sort of squash this down and just want to lift up this language of profit all the time. Unfortunately, that continual focus on profit reduces the likelihood of being able to earn greater profits. It does the opposite. So the practice of non-greed is about moving away from that and understanding how you actually bring the real capability of your business to the forefront. Anyway, we'll get into that a bit more. What, why, form are the three themes for today's first introductory session, chapter on the practice of non-greed in business. You'll see coming up on the screen now an image which has two aspects on it. It has an arrowhead and it has three circles. The arrowhead you recognize as branding for my work, and the language in life, in business, in community is just bringing to the forefront that you should be striving to achieve better every day. In what you do in your life, in what you do in your business, in what you do in community, there is an angle, there is a growth which should be there. The practice of non-greed is about that growth. And the three circles, as you see them expanding, are basically about impact and influence. You need to start with yourself. You need to become an achiever in your life. And there's a whole separate session which we may do on that in the future. You need to develop that achiever trait in you so you understand your strengths, you understand your capabilities, you understand your passions, you lean into those, and you continually set goals which you just deliver on. And people look at you and say, how are they just continually moving forward? That's the achiever trait. That is for you as an individual. You need to nurture and bring that to the forefront so you can then step out to the next circle and become an enabler, where you work within teams, you work within people who you know, and you help them to become successful in their lives. You become an enabler of the success in others. Then you step out into a wider circle where you're sitting in a larger organization and you are now the catalyst. You are the catalyst which are setting processes, culture, vision, strategy, a whole range of elements which is going to allow that organization just to expand and to grow its potential and the success. You become the catalyst of that. The practice of non-greed is about allowing you to become an achiever in your life, an enabler in the lives of others, and think of you working within teams, within organizations and businesses, and then a catalyst where you are at the senior leadership and you are crafting an organization which can just drive itself forward. So that imagery becomes quite important. This is about allowing you to achieve, very simply. That's what the practice of non-greed is about, to help you achieve more. So why is the practice of non-greed important? Well, let's start by just talking about what greed is. Greed comes in many forms, shapes and sizes. But the one attribute which is common across all the forms and shapes and sizes of greed is that it stifles. It pushes down talent, contribution and potential, not only yourself but also everyone else around you who your greed touches. Greed is about gathering, it's about accumulating, it's about more and more, it's about more and more, it's about more and more. It's about your sense of what success looks like. It's about yourself. It's not about need, it's often about ego. Greed does not drive performance. Many people sense that the desire to become wealthier, to become more successful through wealth, is a sign which actually drives your potential to the forefront. No, what you'll find is that element of greed does the exact opposite. And again, we'll step into that a bit later. So greed, let's put that across to one side. Non-greed. Why is non-greed important? The practice of non-greed will deliver more to you than what the practice of greed will. I'll say that again. The practice of non-greed will deliver more. If you're in business and you're thinking about profit, it will deliver more profits than you otherwise would have gained. If your organization you're seeking to have impact, it will deliver a greater impact than you otherwise would have achieved. Businesses, organizations, teams, the practice of non-greed just lifts that potential to the forefront and allows it to be applied. It is about lifting that potential. You will achieve a new level of performance which you otherwise would never have attained. Probably can't even see or imagine. The reason why the practice of non-greed is important, because it's going to allow you to achieve a lot more quickly and on an enduring and compounding basis. Therefore, I would say it at least deserves your exploration. So what is non-greed? It is simply putting others ahead of you. It is not putting yourself first. It's enabling their potential, their success. It is about how you interact with others. Are you someone who's continually seeking to take, or you're someone who's seeking to give and uplift? That's a bit about who you are, but not who you are at a superficial level, but who you are at your core, in your heart. Do you lift, or do you suppress and take? It's not about accumulating and gathering simply so you have more. Having more is not the right purpose. It is about achievement, it is about the achievement of others, and therefore I believe also yours. It is about delivery, it's about delivery of goals, it's about continual growth, it's about uplifting, enabling, it's about striving. This is what the practice of non-greed is. It is this continual leaning in to take everyone forward and allow everyone to bring their potential to the forefront. But just unpacking that a little bit further, what is non-greed? At its core, non-greed is motive. It's the right motive. You can say it's why, it's your why, but I think it's much deeper than that. I think it's your who you are. Organizations have a who as well. Who are you as an organization? What is your personality? What is your traits? Do you seek to uplift the community who you serve, or you seek to take from them? Who are you? Non-greed is motive, which means it is the source of energy. It is your source of willpower. But it's got to be the right motive and the right energy. And it's a motive of striving to achieve. It's a purpose of continual competition to deliver greater value. To others, not to yourself. To others. I'm pointing into myself, but I'm saying to others. It's about striving to achieve. It's about a purpose of delivering value to others. It's that sense of what success looks like. But let's just hang on to the word motive. I think that's worthwhile. We'll come back to that. Non-greed is about process, not outcome. It's about competing, not winning. It's about competing against yourself. It's about better every day. And let me give you two analogies to try and draw this out. Think of the sporting team or the athlete. Day after day after day, they are training on their skills and their capabilities and their strength and their focus and their mental strength. As they go out to compete, it's all that practice and training which they bring onto the field. It is their ability to focus on delivering their best, the training, the process of which they build, which will allow them to win. If they suddenly lose that focus and begin to say, I'm 5 points down, I've just got to get the points, I've just got to get the points, I've just got to get the points, I need to win the medal, then you'll find that that focus and capability just diminishes and disappears, and they will likely lose. And you'll hear it time and time again from athletes who have achieved great successes over a continuing basis. What do you focus on? My process. I have a process that allows me to bring my best to the forefront, and that allows me to win. I'm not distracted by what the other person is doing or the other team's doing. I'm not distracted by the score or the medal. I just focus on my process and I keep pushing in and I keep leaning into that. So think of that sporting analogy. I'll give you another analogy. Think of an organization and leadership. If you have a leader who is interested in themselves, their ego, their position, their advancement, their wealth, then that leaning into themselves continuously, chasing that prize for themselves and therefore leaving everyone else behind is not going to achieve them great success. Because the successful leader comes from lifting everyone else up. So when we say non-greed is about process, it's about competing against yourself, it's about better every day, it's about performance. It's about bringing the performance of everyone to the forefront. That's what the practice of non-greed is. The greatest fallacy of our time is that businesses exist to profit. And I would put in brackets profiteer, because each quarter they get obsessed with getting greater profits. More this quarter, more this quarter, more this quarter. It drives all the wrong behavior in leadership and all the way down the organization, and delivers less profit than otherwise would be possible if it actually moved into a model of non-greed. This sense of profit first seeds greed. It becomes score focused. What's the outcome? What's the result? You lose focus on your ability to compete and you do not invest in that or grow that. You begin to create a culture of win, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. And then you wonder why you get bad culture, bad performance happening. It seeds self-interest, short-termism, and politics. It seeds very much what's in it for me, because I know you're only in it for you. And it's about what everyone can take out of the pie. And there's a real sense in there that money, a share of profit, buys contribution. Well, it may do it for certain people, but not for the organization as a whole. And the potential lies in the organization as a whole. Thinking that your business exists principally to profit is the weakest form of competitiveness you could possibly instill in your organization. It will result in lower profits than is otherwise possible. But it does require you to release and trust the capability of your organization to deliver and to bring in the practice of non-greed. Let's just go back and talk about motive again. Motive is everything. It starts with motive, it ends with motive, and you set the motive. You as an individual, you as a leader, you as an organization set the motive. If you understand someone's motive, then you'll be able to assess their capacity, their capability, and their likelihood to succeed. In fact, you'll know the floor and the ceiling to their success if you understand their motive. There's right motives and there is a wrong motive. There are motives which will lift performance and there's motives which will neutralize and disperse performance. You want to pick the right motive. Let's put motive to one side and let's look at strength, competitive strength. The core strength of any business is the combined talent and effort of all those who work within and with the business, of everyone. Let me say that again. The combined talent and effort of everyone who works within and with the business, the organization, that is where your core strength lies. That is where potential lies. That is where participation lies. That is where contribution lies. What determines how that strength comes together and how it's applied? Motive. The motive that is suited for each and every individual in the organization who is working with the organization. The right motive magnifies, compounds that strength. The wrong motive disperses and neutralises any strength which may be there. What's the right motive? The motive to compete. The motive to deliver your best and to focus on improving that best each and every day. That's the type of organization you want to build. That's the type of organization that the practice of non-greed builds. That's the type of organization which the best talent will want to work for. That is the type of organization in which the community will celebrate you because you are continually stepping out and delivering greater value. And it's a type of organization which will have an enduring profit which is growing and compounding their capital value. So how do I seed this motive? How do I bring this about? Where's this come from? How do I nurture that core strength? In every organization, whether you recognize it or not, there is an engine, a competitive engine, and it is the elements which make up that engine which sets the ceiling and the floor to your success, to your performance. And when the competitive engine is functioning well, the ceiling continues to lift. When the competitive engine is not functioning well, for example, profit first motive, then the floor just continues to diminish and the ceiling just goes with it. You need to understand the agents, the elements in the competitive engine. You need to understand their character, and you need to understand how to mold them and nurture them to continually build their strength to lift the performance of your business. The practice of non-greed lies in optimizing the strength of your competitive engine. So coming up on the screen now is a model of the competitive engine, a simple model. There's three aspects to this, and they are core, focus, and fuel. I'll say that again, core, focus, and fuel. If you look at the white circle, you'll see sitting in there the words vision, culture, leadership, employees, and I'll substitute the word relationships for employees, purpose and motive. That is the core strength of your organization. You then come into this area of focus, which is customer focus, value you seek to deliver, the capability to do it, which really sets your strategy. And then as you lean forward into that, you've got the fuel. The fuel is the rewards I offer and the barriers which I create to stop people reaping those rewards. And rewards are not just about money. Money is probably the minor part of the reward structure. And you look at that and say, well, yeah, okay, look, I know what leadership's about. We have a vision. Yeah, we talk about culture. We have a customer focus. And what I would say is, you know the words, but you do not understand the right character of each of these elements and how they come together to form the competitive engine. And it's understanding the right character which becomes quite important. Because the character of most of those elements at the present time is guided by profit first. And that is the wrong character, and it drives the wrong motive, which doesn't bring together the strength within the organization. It, in actual fact, disperses and neutralizes it. Practice of non-greed in business is about bringing, again, that potential to the forefront. So I would say the way you think about these agents, these elements, we need to reset that. It is the character of these elements which becomes important, and setting them in a nature and a character which uplifts the competitive engine, which powers the competitive engine, which is the practice of non-greed. The other thing, just as a side point, which I've noticed, is that businesses which begin to adopt the practice of non-greed develop quite a different language, a competitive language, a language which uplifts motive, a language which uplifts participation, contribution, which uplifts the individuals to contribute their all. It's interesting. So what's non-greed and what is the practice of non-greed? It is enabling the real potential performance to be delivered each and every day. It's not about self-interest. It's not about shortism. It's not about politics. It's not about chasing a profit result. It's about every person within and with that business working at their best and growing that best. It's about leadership, the organization being a catalyst for performance. It's about winning by being better every day. It's about delivering greater value every day. And it's about learning to say no to greed in all its forms. The practice of non-greed. Coming up on the screen now is just something which I did quite a few years ago now, which is a manifesto, which we may dig into a bit later in one of the sessions, which is really just talking about there will be a change in values which comes about. The why. Businesses must exist for something more than just making profit. They should exist for a clear purpose, and that purpose must be to meet the needs of a community of customers. If they do that well, profit will be a natural outcome. Businesses are made to compete. They compete around the value they deliver to their customers of today and tomorrow, and to compete to their greatest potential, they lift their people to the forefront. They are led by worthy leaders, leaders who place their community, their people, and their businesses all before themselves. These are some of the aspects of non-greed, which we're going to explore. So today is the start of this journey of exploring non-greed. This is just the opening discussion about it. In the second introductory chapter, we're going to pull the competitive engine apart and just look at these elements and begin to talk about their right character. From that, we're then going to dig into each one of them and begin to explore this context of right character and help you understand what does it mean and how you actually bring it about and apply it. We're going to help you build your competitive engine within your organization. The practice of non-greed is about allowing the potential within your organization to drive its performance by lifting to the forefront. You will be a more successful organization, you'll have a greater impact, you'll have greater profits, you'll have greater resources, you'll bring better people in and they'll stay longer, and the community will celebrate you when you adopt the practice of non-greed in business. They are the results which I believe will come if you begin to explore and adopt this approach to managing and running and instilling this in your business. So thank you for being with me today and just listening to this brief introduction. You'll see on some of the slides coming up some resources which you can tap into as we begin to explore the practice of non-greed in business. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your contribution by listening. Be well.
Hi everyone, it's Sally here. I work with Richard. You will see coming up on the next 3 slides. Firstly, a URL link if you are interested in purchasing Richard's Guide to the Competitive Engine, titled Compete, which is a 274-page full-color guide in either printed or a digital PDF format, or both if you wish. Secondly, a URL link to Richard's library of some 500 articles on the various elements of the competitive engine and more that you can access freely. And thirdly, there is an email address for any questions you may have. These are great resources and I commend them to you. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and I hope to see you again soon.